Hi friends, welcome to this video. My name is Nilesh. If this is the first time you are coming to my channel, I blog or I do videos about Azure, AKS and DevOps. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how to get started with Microsoft Azure. Recently, I was asked this question on one of my YouTube videos that how to get started with cloud and what approach do I take to learn new things. So in this video, I'm going to show you how do I get started or what are the things you can look forward to when you start learning about the cloud technologies. First and foremost, I would say it's very important to understand what is cloud. In that sense, it doesn't matter whether you are a developer, whether you are a DevOps engineer or you are an architect. It's always better to understand what is the core technologies or core features of the cloud computing. So I'll start with a very good analogy which is used when we talk about the different kinds of options that we have in the cloud. This is called as pizza as a service. So if you look at the screen here, we have the different options using which we can deliver pizza or we can create pizzas or we can enjoy pizza. First thing is obviously you make everything at home, which is similar to what you do maybe currently in your organization, where everything is done as part of your organization's capabilities and your own data centers. The next option is we take and bake. So we use some of the pre-baked stuff, or like we get the base from a retail store and then we get the other ingredients and we bake the pizza ourselves. Third one is pizza delivery, and the last one is dining out. So in the same sense, if we equate this or if we use this analogy to the cloud providers, we can see that there are different models on the cloud computing. It's always better to understand what is these different as a service. So we have infrastructure as a service, and this is applicable not just to Microsoft Azure. This applies to any cloud provider, be it Amazon Web Services or Google Cloud Platform. If you understand these basic things, I believe that these technologies and these tools, they are transferable. So if you understand how infrastructure as a service works, if you understand how platform as a service works, they work more or less the same way across any cloud provider. So in this picture, you can see that when it comes to IaaS or infrastructure as a service, there are certain things which are managed by the cloud providers, like networking, storage, servers, and virtualization. And then whatever runs on top of that, including operating system, the middleware, runtime, data, and applications, is managed by you as a consumer or your organization as a consumer of these cloud services. When we move on to the platform as a service, there are things which are managed by the provider, in this case Microsoft, what is shown in this diagram. So we have the operating system, middleware, and runtime managed by cloud provider, and the data and the applications are managed by the consumer. When it comes to software as a service, everything is managed by the vendor or the provider, and we just use or we just consume the services. This is very basic, and I think it really helps to understand what is called as a shared responsibility when it comes to managing the data and the security aspects of that. So once you understand this, the next thing I would recommend is to understand what are the different services which are provided by the cloud provider. I will take Microsoft Azure as an example. If you look at this diagram, this is divided into multiple stacks or multiple sections, starting with the different developer services which are provided. Then we talk about the management services and the security, like the portal, scheduler, automation, key vault. And then comes the different categories of the major services provided by the cloud provider, which includes the compute, web and mobile, data and storage, analytics, Internet of Things and Intelligence, media and the content data CDN, content delivery network. And then we have the cross-cutting concerns like the identity and access management, along with hybrid integration and networking. So in my opinion, again, it's good to understand these different services and see how they interact with one another. There are more than 120 services, and the feature parity across cloud providers is more or less the same. So again, I personally feel that it's almost impossible for anybody to know each and every service and master all these services in depth. So I would recommend that you first understand these services. You first try to understand how do they link with one another, how are they dependent on one another, and then you can go into your specific role. So with that regards, I also have another reference which is called as azurcharts.com. This is again very specific to Microsoft Azure. I'm pretty sure something like this exists for Google Cloud as well as AWS. But let's focus our energy on what is available on Microsoft Azure. So if you look at the Azure charts, this gives you a summary of all the services and their status or their updates, what has happened in the last 6 months. And it's very nicely organized by different categories, similar to what I showed in the earlier diagram, like starting with AI and machine learning, then analytics. These are very well color coded, very nicely color coded to identify in a quick glance what is the service related to or which category does the service belong to. So we have the compute, database, development, identity and security, and so on and so forth. For me, this Azure charts is like the treasure trove. You have so much information here that you can find almost anything about Microsoft Azure services. So I'm just talking about the overview here. We can go into things like what are the different SLAs for each of the service. We can look at the status. So let's focus, let's spend few minutes talking about the SLAs. So you can see here that there are some services which are 100% available, like the Azure DNS. There are others which have different SLAs, like 5 nines. There are others which would have 4 nines or 3 nines. So using this pictorial representation or graphical representation, we can easily find out which service is highly available and what is the extent or what is the maximum SLA we can get from that service. Once we have that, we can also look at the status of each of the service and whether it's generally available, is it in preview, what is the tracking, when was this tracked, is it last month, last year, older, and then we can also go into things like different solutions. So I won't go into each and every section of this site. I would put this in the description and you can find out for yourself what are the different capabilities of this. One thing which I find very good is the role-based stuff. So that is my next point. So once you understand the services which are there, it's very important to find out which services are relevant to your role. There is no point just chasing, someone says like, okay, you have container as a service and that's the most happening thing you should look at. If you're not going to deal with containers, you might not want to really look at it. But let's say you're coming from a DevOps background or you are from a database administrator background, then you might want to look at different set of services which are relevant to your either current job or the job that you are looking to get into. If let's say you're a student or you're trying to migrate or transition to a different job. So in that sense, I would say when you go to the Azure Study Map section of this Azure charts, you can find references based on the roles. So you have different roles like administrator, AI engineer, business analyst, business owner, data analyst, and all this. So I highly recommend that again you filter down these based on your roles, and you can dig into the different services. Now once you have known what services are relevant, how do you start interacting with those services, or how do you practice those services? This is where you can create a free account. If you're lucky and your organization is already onboarded onto Azure, you might have a dev test subscription. But in case you don't have a dev test subscription to play around with, you can create a free account with Azure. And there are some services which you get when you create a free account. So you get like some of the most popular services for 12 months free. You also get $200 worth of credit to explore it for 30 days. And there are some services which are always free. So you can see the list of services here which are always free, and you can experiment with these services. Once you have experimented with these services, you might want to have in-depth knowledge, or you might want to learn further. That is where I recommend to go for the excellent documentation which is provided by Azure. This is available on docs.microsoft.com, and if you search for MS Learn, you will get this page, or you will be landing on this page, which has got more than 1800 modules. These are filtered by products. So you have .NET, Azure, Dynamic 365, GitHub, and various other products which are supported. You also have things based on the role. So let's say I am a solution architect and I want to learn things related to the architecture. I can choose what is my current level. Am I at the beginner level, intermediate, or advanced level? And then I can filter the respective modules which are applicable or which I can explore. Again, based on my current maturity level or current understanding level, I can go into these different courses or modules. And the good thing is we also have things around learning paths. So learning paths give you the ability to combine different modules and have a dedicated learning path related to a particular topic. Say for example, if you want to learn about securing your cloud applications in Azure, there is a learning path for that, which is close to 6 hours of MS Learn content, and this will contain multiple modules inside that. If you want, let's say, to focus on the architecture side of things, then there is Azure Architecture Center. And this is again one of my personal favorite when it comes to architecting solutions. You have things like designing for cloud, optimizing for cloud, the good things, best patterns and practices which are recommended as part of the cloud solution architect or the framework which is built. It's called as I forgot the name. Let me see if it is here. The well architected framework. That's one. So you have all these reference materials, and you also have what I like to call is the interaction with the product teams. So Azure Friday is another one of my favorite resource when it comes to learning about Azure. This is hosted by my idol, Scott Hanselman. I love Scott Hanselman and his videos. If you go onto Azure Friday, you will find that on every Friday there is a new topic or a new video which is published, and these are very short videos of 10-15 minutes, maximum about 30 minutes, where Scott is bringing in team members or people who are well versed with these technologies, and they interact about the latest and the greatest features of the products. Once we have all this, I also have a reference which talks about what are the different resources you can use to learn about Azure. So this video, I'll put a link to this in the description, is another reference point for me. So I think I covered all the things which were related to how to get started. So to summarize, first thing, understand the different types of services, the infrastructure as a service, then you have platform as a service, you have software as a service. There are other services which are add-ons on top of this. You also find people commonly talking about container as a service, and there is function as a service. But to me, I would say these are extensions to those three basic pillars of cloud computing. And once you have understood those, try to understand your role and focus on the services or the areas which are applicable to your role. And once you want to get more hands-on experience, or you want to learn more about individual services that you have identified, you can use Microsoft Learn, you can use Azure Friday as an example. So that is where I will stop in this video. In the future videos, I will also talk about some of the references that I use in my daily learnings of Azure. I hope you found this useful. If you find this video useful, please hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with your friend. Thank you for watching this video.